But to the viewer from Toronto who says, what's the most intense game you've ever been involved in? Viewers obviously watching on the Game Plus TV network.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I don't think you, or ma'am, I've needed police escorts out of facilities. I've needed police escorts out of cities. So you're going to need to define intense. I assume you mean on the playing field. I've been threatened in many facilities across this country, all because of my own actions. But was there a game more intense for you than the 2007 Grey Cup?
I think the Grey Cups in general, like I say 09 and 10 were big time Grey Cups too for me as far as intensity. But if you get away from the Grey Cups, I would say that rematch against Montreal,
Canada Day comeback.
Yeah, that 50, what was it, 51, 54, or 50, whatever. With 50-something to 50. That was just back and forth. We
Triple
were down
overtime, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were down 3. We had another 13-man penalty that almost ruined the game for Saskatchewan again. Had great catches left and right. Everybody was, it was just, if you weren't a CFL fan and you watched that game, you would have been a CFL fan after that. That was the best, probably the best CFL game I've ever seen, been a part of. And it was intense. After we closed the gap before half, that second half was the most intense thing ever.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
So what was it like coaching the Panthers in the 90s at the old Miami Arena? And he said it was in a bad end of town, and the police told him, when you come to a red light around the arena, don't stop. Keep rolling through because they'll come and steal your car. And he was driving an 86 Toyota Corolla. So he said he came up to a red light, and he didn't stop. He rolled through the red intersection, and some local yelled at him, "Don't worry, we wouldn't steal that piece of garbage."
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
It was funny about that was Doug McLean in that story, and the bad end of town was downtown Miami. It's like the most busiest part of town in the city now. Welcome, everybody, to the RP Show. It is Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show. Moose is back in Toronto. I'm repping Hogtown while broadcasting from Florida today, my home. Hey, Moose, happy Monday. How you doing, brah?
Doing great, man. Doing great. How are you?
Oh, good. Top of the world. Are you ready to get down to business and talk some sports? Is there anything that you're dying to say to get off your chest before we get serious here for the next 2 hours?
I'm sure anything, excuse me, on my mind we're going to get to today. So I'm ready to roll.
All right. Brian Beggy Munz will be with us in hour 2, the legendary Winnipeg broadcaster, longtime broadcaster with the Winnipeg Jets, also the Manitoba Moose, and the Edmonton Roadrunners. We'll be talking hockey with Munzy in hour 2. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, guys? And we'll get down to business.
How about that?
A very interesting thing here on Game Plus Television. We're live across Canada on television. I don't understand what people still don't understand about that, but I've moved on. And 32 U.S. states. We open this with what we call the warm-up, which is the top sports topics coming out of the weekend. But my number one big story, Darren, is the weekend, okay? Because of our good friend Brent from Wellington, Florida, I was able to unknowingly knock 2 things off my bucket list this weekend. Number one, Clark has the photos. This Saturday, we went to the Valspar Championship, Day 3, the PGA event in Palm Harbor, Florida. That is me and Brent from Wellington, Florida, right on the tee box. And then on Sunday, we went to TD Ballpark in Dunedin, Florida, the home of the Blue Jays. Again, Brent and I. He basically made my dreams come true this weekend. So I want to thank Brent for that. He's up in Orlando now at a conference. I came down here last night home on the train, and it was an all-world weekend. And I got to just get a kick out of this because we were driving out of Tampa area up to Orlando last night, and I turned to him and I said, "You following any March Madness at all?" And he looks at me and he goes, "I didn't even know it was on." So, well, it's like the biggest thing to so many people. There's so much going on in the sports world, which now would be a pretty good time to actually tell you what the poll question is for EMJ Marketing. Transform your event with a speaker from EMJ Marketing's Elite Speakers Bureau. Check out their roster at emjmarketing.com and look up Joe. The poll question is, what captivated your weekend? NHL and hockey, PGA's Valspar Championship. What else did I put in there, Clark? Not baseball. I put hockey, golf. Oh, March Madness or other. Yeah. And so, Darren, maybe you take a swing at that. For me, mine was actually baseball and the Blue Jays and going to TD Ballpark. It was awesome, man. It's Disneyland for Jays fans. It's all Jays. It's their home. And it looks far bigger on TV, but we'll get into that. What are you voting for? What was your sports? What captivated you the most on the weekend?
Well, it is opening week in Major League Baseball. I think Thursday here, the Jays are at home, and that's going to be exciting. But that was March Madness for me. I'm in a bracket. I'm in a pool. Doing quite well, I might add. But March Madness for me was my week. And a little bit of tennis.
Right. No, well, that's why I put other. And a lot of people are writing in with a lot of other things that they were very excited in. So that's cool. So we'll get to everybody's topics here. There's a million things. John in Edmonton, I would say chill out. We'll get to your comments maybe at some point, but chill out. Because this is Moose and my time. We've done it 1,460 times, 1,460 episodes of the RP Show. I blew Darren's mind this morning with something that blew mine this morning. My old radio show that I launched and started, the Sports Cage, I did for 8 years. And I told the boys this morning, we've been doing this for 6. This still feels new. And we're in season 6. And I did that thing for 8 years, and it felt like it was forever. Anyways, moving on to point 2. So for me, one other thing. As I was walking the golf course with Nick from, I believe, Winter Haven, Florida, and John from Omaha, Nebraska. They were in our group. They asked what we talk about on this show, and I said Canadian sports topics. And, of course, every time I say that, it's the what? They're not into hockey. One guy's from Omaha, and the other guy was raised in Kansas City. But the one thing that everybody can talk about, everybody, is the National Football League. Everybody's got an opinion on where Aaron Rodgers is going to go, or how long the Chiefs dynasty is going to last, or is it going to come back, with another Super Bowl. Everybody can talk about that, Darren. But not everybody can talk about March Madness or the PGA or God knows the CFL or the NHL or the Blue Jays. Everybody can talk about the NFL. What does that say?
The big league with a wide audience. You want to mass market and hit everybody. Yeah, that is the definition of mainstream. Walking down the street, everybody knows who you are, what's going on, and highly recognizable. That league checks all the boxes.
Yeah, I mean, every day we could open with the number one topic if we wanted to and make it be the NFL to hook everybody in because everybody's following it. It's wild. Hasn't always been that way, but it is now. But anyways, for us, we're going to talk about the National Hockey League because, as I said, we're on the air in Canada on national TV. The Vegas Golden Knights scored 3 unanswered goals in the first period, then coasted to a 4-2 NHL win over the visiting Tampa Bay Lightning on Sunday. Nicholas Roy, Thomas Hertl, Jack Eichel, and Nicholas Hague scored for the Knights, who won their 3rd straight and increased their lead atop the Pacific Division to 5 points over the Edmonton Oilers. Meanwhile, Taylor Hall scored 3 goals. Jack Roslovic had 2 assists, and the visiting Carolina Hurricanes blew past the Anaheim Ducks 5-2 Sunday. The Hurricanes have won 9 of 10. What generalities are you making about the NHL right now? Because here are mine. Detroit's not going to make it. Carolina's winding into form. Vegas is a wagon, which we all knew that they are. Right? Every team goes through a little bit of swoons. They're just sharpening their knives. So, I mean, Detroit teased us under Todd McClellan, but they are who we thought they were this year anyways. And what, for here in Florida, because I'm, let's be honest, a Florida hockey guy, none of us could figure out why Sergei Bobrovsky started Saturday for the Panthers at Washington. His backup, I want to say Vitek Vanacek, however you say it. He got shelled. But then they came back here Sunday night, the Panthers did, and beat Pittsburgh in a shootout, and Sergei Bobrovsky got the win. And all is right in the world again. So those are my generalities. The teams that were teasing us, they're done. And then the wagons are they're firing it up now, Darren, with about a dozen games to go. That's my generalities.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty safe. The other thing I'll say is, you mentioned that. My mind went to Canada's NHL teams, and I feel like, I don't know, man, top to bottom, from first to last, when it comes to the Canadian NHL teams, I don't know that they've ever been better. Right now, they're all in the mix, right? Who's really bad in Canada? Nobody. So I think Canada should be really proud. My generality is top to bottom. Hockey in Canada and the NHL has never been better.
Right, and so from the crowd, Rich in Edmonton, who tunes in every day, and I appreciate you, Rich, he says the West playoff race is heating up. Exactly. And like I say, teams are falling off, more so in the East than the West. The race is still great in the West. It's not as hot in the East. Monty in Saskatoon writes and he says, Rod, you got a nice shirt. And Moose, looking good, buddy. Glenn in Medicine Hat writes and he says, the 2025 University Cup in Ottawa. Another stumble by the U of S Huskies hockey program. No national titles since 1983. Hockey is an option in the poll. I put NHL/hockey. Maybe you're not necessarily watching NHL, which reminds me, go read my Monday morning goalie column today. I got the WHL playoff scene, the SJHL playoff scene, the AAA midget playoff hockey scene, the NCAA hockey scene, because Nolan Renwick of Milestone, Saskatchewan scored in double overtime to put the Maine Black Bears into the final of the Hockey East Championship against UConn, which they won Sunday night. So it's all about hockey right now for those of us that love hockey. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes that he says, yes, Rod, I think the NFL is the biggest sports league in the world. And overall, the NHL and NFL are likely the most talked about leagues in North America. Very debatable. What I will tell you, the numbers and the metrics say that the NHL has pretty much caught the NBA. If anybody wants to argue that, I'm more than willing to fight you on it. I can give you the numbers to show you that the NHL is, for whatever reasons, and I would say it's probably being run better. I don't know why that is, but NFL's number one. Baseball's number two. If you look at the numbers, and then NHL and NBA are right there. Anything from you before I move on, Moose?
Yeah, no, I probably agree there. NHL's in a really good spot to challenge, but nobody's challenging the NFL today. Not happening.
Progressive Insurance text line 902-518-3033. Switch to Progressive and you could save a bunch. We're getting to we're getting to your comments, but not right here. But we will. So get your comments in. We'll get to them, I promise. Point 3. Years of bracket chaos have given way to the year of the Power Conference. Cinderella is staying home this year for March Madness. The Sweet 16 will be made up entirely of teams from power conferences, a first since the bracket expanded to 64 teams in 1985. Not a St. Peter's or Loyola Chicago in the bunch, not even a Butler or a Gonzaga. The top 4 seeds went a combined 16-0 in the first round for the 6th time ever. 2 number 12 seeds got through to the second round and 1-11. They all lost, though, leaving number 10 Arkansas as the lowest seed left. So I'm sitting here while not watching the games per se. I'm watching the coverage. I'm watching Sports Center. And what I'm getting out of March Madness, Darren, is that what I just read, there is no Cinderella story this year. And that kind of sucks. No?
Yeah, it does a little bit, but it hasn't been without great moments. And we saw it, Colorado State, Maryland. The buzzer beater for Maryland was great. Duke has been a fun story to watch, even though they're just demolishing everybody right now, but watching Cooper Flagg do his thing. But you're right. We're missing that, Oral Roberts, or we're missing those, underdog teams. I was thinking Vanderbilt might do something, but it's still fun. But we do miss the, FAU Owls being in the mix here.
the Florida Gulf Coast University whatevers. Yeah, that's too bad. But well, what I will say this, man, they have not yet linked it. At some point, the bright lights will. The teams that are paying the most money, power conferences, NIL, are the teams that are winning. It takes a lot of the fluke and the luck out of this. Here's a little tidbit, everybody. If you pay for the best players, you'll win more. No charge. No charge for that tip, Darren. Point 4. Speaking of, the New York Giants and quarterback Jameis Winston have agreed to terms on a 2-year, $8 million contract. The 31-year-old Winston joins Tommy DeVito, Tommy Cutlets, as the only quarterbacks on the Giants roster. New York has been in the market in free agency for a veteran, with Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson also mentioned as possible targets. I smiled because, of course, this morning I went to LA Fitness. I'm working out with Joe Girardi. He was across the gym. We weren't actually working out together, but we were in the same gym together, Moose. And I'm listening to Mike Florio and Chris Sims, and they were kind of laughing about the Super Bowls, Super Bowl 42 and Super Bowl 46, won by the New York Giants and Eli Manning. They were like, because Sims is from New York, he's a Giants fan. He's like, did that really happen? Because the Giants have, like, they just dropped those 2 Super Bowl wins in the middle of a bunch of muck. And the Giants are a joke. You know, they don't have a quarterback. Well, they got famous Jameis and Tommy DeVito, but they don't have the guy. So, to be honest with you, why is the NFL number 1? I sat there and listened to those guys really talk about nothing, conjecture, happenstance, and I was entertained by it. You know, and what did I learn? The GM meetings are down here in Florida next week. We won't be broadcasting live from there, but the will he or won't he, or the will they or won't they, you can talk about that for hours, Darren, and they do in the National Football League.
Yeah, obviously there's so many different markets involved and storylines and players, and we know them all, and they market the players. And then these storylines and the rumors and gossip become about the players, so we're very familiar with the names and all the rest. And, you know, we're going to speculate. And, you know, we're getting closer to the draft, so you start thinking about that. It's just one thing after another. Keep that ball rolling downhill. And, yeah, we're all sitting here eating it all up, and it's highly entertaining stuff.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. There's a lot of other things that I could have got into, but that was the one that got my attention. And as I told you earlier, walking the golf course at the Valspar Championship with a guy from Omaha, Nebraska, and a guy from Kansas City, Missouri, what's the one thing that we could all talk about? What's the one common ground? The NFL. From the Progressive Insurance text line, Rennie from the Game Plus control room writes in, Moose, and he says, big win by the Marlies against Belleville Sens with the 1975 Memorial Cup winning Marlies team in attendance on Saturday. AHL playoffs starting in a couple of weeks. We did have some write-in ballots on our poll saying they're following the American Hockey League, specifically the Calgary Wranglers, obviously doing some good things. Gary in Winnipeg writes, and he says, big NHL game on Tuesday with Washington and Winnipeg. Hopefully the Jets can recover from the terrible game against Buffalo. Reimer stole the win for Buffalo, born in Arborg, Manitoba. I know James Reimer. I attended a Christian event with him. He's a great one. See, here's the thing. In Winnipeg, they're all excited about tomorrow's game. We'll worry about tomorrow. We've got a lot of other messages to get to, so we'll be right back. What I will tell you is Hour 1 is brought to you by Culligan. Drink clean, live green. Filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit CulliganRegina.com. We'll be right back here on the Game Plus Television Network, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Just before we bring the Moose back in, what was I going to tell you? Hour one brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, the movie Black Bag from director Steven Soderbergh. Black Bag is a gripping spy drama about legendary intelligence agents George Woodhouse and his beloved wife, Catherine. When she's suspected of betraying the nation, George faces the ultimate test, loyalty to his marriage or to his country. What do you do? Starring Kate Blanchett. Catch Black Bag in Landmark Cinemas tonight. Okay, let's bring the Moose in. I'm dying to get to this, actually. We've covered already NHL, covered our weekends. We talked about March Madness and some NFL, believe it or not. We haven't even talked about the Blue Jays yet, and I was at their game on Sunday. The Blue Jays wrapped up their spring training schedule Sunday in Dunedin with a 2-1 win over the Pittsburgh Pirates to finish the grapefruit season at 18-10. Jays host the Baltimore Orioles at the Rogers Center on Thursday in the regular season home opener. And while I was getting ready for the show, believe it or not, I do a little bit of prep. I typed in Blue Jays into the search engine with Canadian Press, and it came up that Mark Shapiro, the president of the Blue Jays, stated last week, somehow I missed this, that they expect to get an extension done with Vladimir Guerrero. At what point, I don't know. I just saw the headline. I didn't go in and read the story. I'm assuming before free agency next year? I don't know. But sitting there at TD Ballpark, Moose, yesterday, you've watched games there at some point, like on television. It's better there. It's always better in the crowd. 8,500 jammed the place. it was like a Blue Jay cornucopia. And the reason I bring that up is I've been at the Astros ballpark here, the Nationals spring training park, the Red Sox, and they're all very sterile, very like any team plays there. Whereas the Blue Jays, it was this, well, this is a little dark for Blue Jays blue, but you know what I mean. The Blue Jays have their own font. They have their own Blue Jays blue. You know, the souvenir store was jammed. Everybody was smiling. Brent from Wellington, Florida, my fishing buddy, my buddy, said, you got to get something for your set. So we went and bought this. It was just awesome. It was like Disneyland for Jays fans. You know, and everybody was in a good mood because the Jays are still in first place. But it kind of slipped by me. Clark's been a real diehard for the Jays for years, and I've got friends who watch every game, tape every game. Did you know Kelly Rempel is that guy that tapes every game? And he doesn't watch Jays in 30. He tapes the whole game, Darren.
Wow.
Kelly Rempel, the Silver Fox. That's how hard. There's a lot of people like that, but there's a lot of people in the crowd. You know me, I visit with people. A lot of people live here, but are originally from Toronto. Some were on a trip from Canada. The Jays are Canada's team. It's exciting. They got a great brand. How long does it last? This year, right? Before people get pissed off and they want John Schneider fired and, you know what I mean, cut this guy, trade that guy, fire Shapiro. I'm saying around mid-June. What are you thinking?
I said with you on the call, end of May. They can ride this end of May because the new season is always exciting. Like, I'm not going into the season being like, you know what? The Jays are going to suck this year. They haven't signed Vladdy, and pointing out the problems. I'm thinking about going to the game on Thursday and maybe doing this show right from the ballpark. Like, that would be kind of cool on opening day.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But it is definitely fun. End of May, I'll say, unless something happens that this team is actually good. But I don't think we're expecting.
Well, no. But again, there was a lot of optimism in the park. And as I said off the top of the show, Buck Martinez is there. Ooh, it's a big deal. You know, it's kind of what we were serving up with the Riders for a lot of years in the decade of decadence. The vibe was great. We were also winning. It helps, you know. When you're not, it becomes a lot more difficult. But that's why I just looked at the headline from Shapiro. He believes they'll get it done. You had some thoughts on this in our meeting that you might not want to share on the air, so I'm not going to put your feet to the fire. But my thing was that you just let me know when you do sign him. Because until you do, talk is cheap. And you're just another executive flapping your jaws, trying to buy another day. Until you sign him, then I'll pay attention. Talk's cheap. So what I do know is when Vladdy came to the plate and he was batting second, he was the DH yesterday, and he ended up going 0 for 2. But the place... It didn't go nuts, but he certainly got the loudest cheer. We all know Vladdy is the face of the franchise. So if they don't get him signed, Shatkins might as well leave town. I think we're all in agreement there.
Yeah, we are. And there's a lot of guys, and this is not, you know, with all due respect, there's a lot of guys in baseball on a lot of teams where you're comfortable walking around the concourse, looking over your shoulder. Oh, yeah, okay, 2-1. Oh, fouled it away. When Vladdy's up to the plate, you stand and watch. And I've seen it. You don't leave your seat when he's coming up to the plate in that half inning. You're on the edge of your seat. And when you are walking to the washroom or to get a hot dog, you stop, you find a spot on the railing, and you watch Vladdy's at bat. And then you move on when the next guy's going. Vladdy's like that. I think Bo Bichette, George Springer, that's it. So guys that you want to see every one of their at-bats.
Well, and Springer was in center field yesterday, and he made he had to run straight forward to make this catch, and he made it. I don't know if anybody was watching. I'm sure some of our viewers were watching. Made the catch, slid on his chest, and then got up to his knees and gave a rocky pump like this. Place went nuts. And the guy sitting in front of me is like, that's all great till he gets injured. Right, I forgot about that. But the poll, by the way, for EMJ Marketing today, what captivated you the most in sports this weekend? NHL and hockey, March Madness, PGA, or other? 45% are saying the NHL and hockey. That leads. 27% are saying other. 22% are saying March Madness, and 6% saying PGA. Monty from Saskatoon writes in. He says, hey, Rod, are you coming back to broadcast baseball again for the Express 2025? That is a Texas 10-4, Monty. I will be back broadcasting baseball in the WCBL this summer for the Miller Express. Tony in Cochrane, Alberta, writes in and says, good morning. From the Rod Squad newsletter, Moose Droppings column. The Rangers pulled their wiener out of the campfire? Way too funny. I'm going to have to use that if I may, Moose. You going to tell him or should I?
That's a Rod line. That's a Rod line. I'll just say that's one I picked up from Rod.
That?
But it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Some of those are good. Wait till I just a teaser for next week. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter, there will be a little snippet on Randy Ambrosi in the column coming up on Wednesday morning. So stay tuned.
Just so you know, I stole the wiener campfire line from somewhere. I don't remember where, so it wasn't immediately from here. Okay, well, apparently, judging by our audience, not as many people were into this. Victor Hovland made 3 late birdies to rally past Justin Thomas with a 4-under-67 for a one-shot victory in the Valspar Championship. Hovland and Thomas finally separated from the pack during a final round so tight that 9 players had at least a share of the lead at some point. I know there are golf fans that watch this show or they like golf, but largely I think you're going to be watching the Golf Channel if you love it that much. There weren't any real big names in the event, but I don't care. It was my first ever PGA championship, and I'll be honest, it wasn't any different than the LPGA Canadian Women's Open at the Wascana. I told Darren that the tents were the same size, the crowds were the same size, so I was kind of prepared for that. But they did have the country concert with Jordan Davis Saturday night in Palm Harbor, Florida, which I didn't stay for. I'm not a big concert guy, not anymore. But this is the thing about and bringing the entertainment in. What did we say? Why is the NFL so popular? It's not because of Taylor Swift, but that didn't hurt. And there were, I don't know, I want to say, let's say 12 to 15,000 people on the course at Innisbrook in Palm Harbor, Florida. A lot of them just came to the concert to see this Jordan Davis guy. How do I know? Because the young girls were wearing sundresses and cowboy boots. And the young boys all had beards and like Porter Wagner nudie suit type shirts. You young people wouldn't know what that is, but they were dressed country. Country. Used to be my scene. It's not anymore. You know, you would have had to drag me out of there like with a team of horses back in the day. But the thing, it was like the Happy Gilmore crowd, which, by the way, Darren, got to the 17th, 18th hole. You've seen these things. Your gal works in this. You spend all day getting these people liquored up, and then you're going to send some guy out there with the paddles to be quiet? How's that going to work? Just so you know, they weren't listening to that guy. They were all pissed. You can't have both. Which they weren't kicking anybody out, but they wanted a party. And that's what they got. Did I read that right, Darren? You're close to the golf scene.
For sure. And those concerts and things they do, because you get in with your gate admission, are reasons to get people into the venue and into the golf tournament. And you know, golf's a tough sport. I mean, it's not that tough to watch in person, but you're not getting the full lay of what's going on. You're not watching all the shots like you are on TV. You're watching select groups come through, and you're just watching them hit shots, which I enjoy. But what I weirdly, it's going to make me sound really bad, but I've become the guy now. I like going to golf tournaments in the morning, cup of coffee, walking, the fresh cut grass, the sun's out, birds are chirping, pretty peaceful. But I've become the guy who likes to go to events now, and I only really want to be in the VIP section. Like, I want it to be quiet. I want a place to sit. I don't want to be with the crowds gathered around on the first tee or right around 18 and fighting with the crowds. I just want to have my spot and watch and have my coffee and, you know, be in the grass and chill. That's kind of what I'm into.
We change, we grow, we move on, whatever. But my thing was, like John writes, and he says, did you enjoy watching the golf, Rod? It was okay for a while. But what I didn't know, because I've never been to a PGA event, you got to get there early if you want to get a spot in the tent, because people are there earlier than you, and they'll sit there all flipping day. If I'd have known, I'd have brought a lawn chair. So I would have sat on a hole and watched everybody when they came by. But we didn't do that. So I didn't really know what to do. And as I put in the Rod Squad newsletter, yeah, that's what it was. I said, we all have a lane in this business, and we're pretty much best served to stay in our lane. So I can get the smell of fresh cut grass at a football practice or a baseball stadium. You know what I mean?
Or in your
So
backyard.
I won't be, or my backyard, I won't be breaking a leg to go to a PGA event. But I went, bucket list, we're good. Utah Darren writes in, he says, the Utah Hockey Club had a Shabuzi concert before opening game. Brought in some who may not have attended. That's the thing. I've never really understood why they did that when these teams started doing that in leagues, but now I get it. Introducing your product to a new crowd. Because my dad, the NHL scout, he and I used to sit in the crowd watching games at all levels, watch the Zamboni go around in between periods, and we're like, it's entertaining enough for us. Dad wanted to see what kind of job the guy was doing. Was he leaving a sliver of white? That's entertaining. What do we need to bring out bowling pins for and slingshots and dancing girls? But I guess they do, right? Because if it was left up to people like us, it would never grow. John Ohm says, I find it okay going to a golf tournament to watch. I prefer a hockey or football game live in person. It's all what you're into. And I want to thank Caribbean Protein Supply Company for it, for taking me. It was fantastic. But I enjoyed the baseball game more. And even that's slow, but there was a whole lot going on. Ran into people I knew. I told you this, I said to Brent just before we left, I said, do you want to do a loser lap around this place? He's like, yeah, let's go. So we were in the outfield and passing the WestJet flight deck, which we all know what these things are. And all Canadians know. And this guy's like, hey, Rod. And I had my Blender's sunglasses on and a ball cap. I'm like, he goes, it's Pugs. Ron Pugsley from Regina. Him and Mark Steffen were there with their wives. See? It felt like home going to the Blue Jays game. TD Ballpark is like one big party. It's home. Yeah, you got to go, everybody. We'll be right back here on the Game Plus Television Network, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
It's a little scary. We're staying on point today, going as planned. I can't believe it. Let's bring the Moose in. Sports fans, join the Rod Squad newsletter today. Stay ahead of the game with exclusive insights, updates, contests, and exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up for free today at rodpeterson.com. Moose, you're in luck. I'm going to delve into the viewer comments here on the Progressive Insurance text line. You just happen to be here to help me answer them, if you're cool with that. Okay. Darcy in Grand Prairie writes in and says, Darcy from Grand Prairie, Alberta, says, do the show from Skydome, Moose. The Blue Jays are going to surprise this year. What are we talking, a wild card playoff berth again? Would that be a surprise? Because they're not challenging in the American League East. They never have. We had this talk this morning. Is the Yankees division and maybe the Red Sox. What does surprise really mean? What do you think?
Yeah, wild card. If they can challenge for a playoff spot, be in the mix, just be in the conversation, be in the race. Whether they're in the playoffs or not, I think in the race would be a surprise.
Speaking of watching the Zambonis go around and enjoying it, that same Darcy writes, and he says, in Archerville, Saskatchewan, back in the day, we shoveled the ice between periods, spectators and players alike. It was awesome. It was a big day when we finally got a Zamboni. There was something special about doing it the old way. Oh, we used to fight to be one of the guys with the shovels on the ice in the old Milestone Diesel Dome. So thank you for the memory. Freddie in Winnipeg, regarding our poll question, what had you captivated this weekend? Hockey, PGA, March Madness, or other? Freddie writes in and says, I'll pick other. Family comes first, and was happily watching my grandson's goalie skills during his team's playoff run. Another good newsletter, boys. Thank you, Freddie. It's really gaining steam. It's really gaining steam, which I got to stop and drop anchor for a second. These other comments can hold until the next segment. I want your take on a couple things. Number one, you weren't on the air Friday to discuss Ed Hervey, the general manager of the Edmonton Elks. You know where I'm going with this, saying, quote, I don't know any superstars in the CFL. He was appropriately flamed. He's the general manager of a team in the Canadian Football League. And his quote was, I don't know any superstars in the CFL. Duh. So I ripped him in the column. I ripped him in everything that I wrote. Way to go, Ed. And he half-hearted, before you respond to this, he half-heartedly apologized on Friday's Jason Greger's show on Sports 1440 Edmonton, saying, wow, some people, you got to be careful what you say now because people's feelings get hurt. No, Ed, it was a dumb thing to say. Ed was a superstar in the CFL. But everybody's got a take on this, though. So that's why I'm interested to get yours.
He half-heartedly apologized, but I really read that as he doubled down. He apologized kind of and said people got hurt and that sucks. But then he's like, but what I meant was this. And I'm sticking to it. What he meant was, yes, there's no world-class superstars, or like there's no Michael Jordan where you could roll people into any city around the world and they would know who the players are. Okay, whatever. Whether you believe that or not, you have superstars in those markets and in the countries. And guess what? I know you're a general manager and your job is to win football games. I get that. That's what you're paid to do. Put a team together that wins games. And coaches are paid to coach. And in the job description, marketing is not part of it. But you know what? It's all of their jobs. It's all of our jobs to create the stars, to talk about them, sell them, put them out there. You know, all of those things. Bingo. You're responsible. You're the reason that that you don't think there's any stars. Then we all contribute to this. So I just think it's a crazy statement. Yeah, wild.
Use your brain, Ed. Use your brain, Ed. You're right. He's not the head of marketing for the Edmonton Elks. Clearly. And thank God he's not the head of marketing for the Canadian Football League. We're in this time where they're battling not only the NFL for attention, but all these other leagues we've been talking about all show. Oh, I don't know any superstars in the league. I took it to mean nobody's worth what the player Eugene Lewis was paid last year and is looking for. Nobody's worth that, but it didn't come across that way. Now, take on this. Mike Stackhouse writes a wonderful column for our website every weekend, rodpeterson.com, and he said, Hervey's right. Where's the Doug Flutys? Where's the Warren Moons? Where's the Darren Flutys? Where's those guys are superstars? Where are those? Bo Levi is that, but there aren't that many. And they're trying to make Nathan Rourke a star, but he's not really picking up the mantle. And in Toronto, they would love for Chad Kelly to be, but he's screwing that up. What about that? But there isn't any superstars. I still don't go along with that, but that's what some people's take is on that.
I know. Crazy. And part of it is, you know, I get it. If it comes from people who don't watch the league, I get it. You're not familiar with the players, but it's just not a great thing. It's not a great statement. And especially when you're in the league and working in the league, like I would rather hear, hey, we've got a lot of superstar players and it's our job to get them in front of the fans so people know who they are. Like, it's a way to say the same thing, but say it in a positive way that contributes to a solution instead of just throwing gas on it.
Yeah, Ed's not the head of marketing, but he's also not stupid. If people are trying to discern where they're going to spend their money, because God knows there's a million places they could. Oh, this GM says there's no stars in the league. Why would I buy a ticket to watch them? That's the way I look at it. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in and he says, I bought Hervey's explanation. I thought that was what he meant all along. Well, Jeff, Ed Hervey could rob a bank and you'd still defend him. Rich in Edmonton says, that's Ed just being Ed. Oh, okay. I used to get that all the time when Roy Shivers would say these outlandish, stupid, offensive things. Oh, that's just Shiv being Shiv. Okay. Well, the next time they're trying to nail my balls to the wall, Darren, can you just say, well, it's just Rod being Rod? Would you do that for me? Have my back on that? That's just Rod being Rod. It's no big deal. You always have. Thank you. BW writes in and says, amen. On what? I'm not sure, but I'll take it. Progressive Insurance text line from El Sasco. He writes in, he says, happy Monday, Reverend Rod and Heel Moose. Is March to May the best 3-month stretch of the sporting year? So many things, including curling, NHL, and NBA playoffs, with the smell of the CFL season on the horizon. Blessings, Brother Seth. Yeah, well, I'm the one, and can I remind you, the only one that says the spring is the best time for sports. Before I let you go, Darren, you're always the one saying, you and everybody else says it's fall. I'm the one that says it's right now. Please, don't change history on me.
You are. It's true. I always say the fall as number one, but I'm the guy who just finds a reason to say this is the best, and then the next one, this is the best. No, this is the best. But if I had to choose, yeah, I'm in fall. You always have been on the spring.
Okay, Moose. Go enjoy that Marlboro. I'll see you next hour. All right.
How about that?
For Moose, Biggie Munz is coming up in hour 2. The legendary Winnipeg broadcaster will be, and SJHL Hall of Famer, I might add. He doesn't get enough kudos for that. We'll be right back with a mini overtime after this here on Game Plus TV. Streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now back to the studio with Rod.
It's a mini overtime brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes. Do you have a winter birthday in your house? And is that birthday or boy hockey obsessed? Birthday boy or girl hockey obsessed? Then look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. They throw the greatest birthday parties. Be the hero of the party. Book your lanes and book your party today at Overtime Hockey Lanes, 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. Here's a heavy gym sports update. The Vancouver Canucks are in New Jersey in NHL play tonight. The Canucks enter the matchup on a 2-game skid and sit 5 points behind St. Louis for the second wildcard spot in the Western Conference with 12 games to go. The Devils are looking to avoid a 3-game slide. Meanwhile, the Toronto Raptors are back at it tonight, visiting the Washington Wizards. It's the second night of a back-to-back set for the Raps, who are coming off a 123-89 home loss to the Spurs. And as mentioned a few times today, the Blue Jays are off after closing their spring training schedule Sunday with a 2-1 victory over Pittsburgh. They'll open the season Thursday at home to Baltimore. Sports headlines are for Heavy Gym. Step into the gym that's changing lives. They're just not about lifting weights. They're about lifting your spirit, your strength, your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. There was a Vancouver comment came in here from Scott. He writes, and he says, the fans in Vancouver are complaining that the tickets are so high because of Elias Pedersen's contract. Before that, they were scared and complaining he might walk. So they pressured him to sign early. He can't win. Well, number one, Canucks tickets have been overpriced for 30 years. But number two, no, he can't win. And I feel terrible for the guy largely because I think he wakes up every day, Elias Pedersen of the Vancouver Canucks, as an unhappy person. He's in the wrong fit. And we don't know if he's going to be a fit elsewhere. They're not moving him. Well, they moved the other guy, which tells you that they do want him in Vancouver. But what I hear from the hockey people is it's not a fit. Regarding Ed Hervey's comments, Rich in Edmonton says, I'm not defending Ed, but that guy isn't changing. Well, let's put it this way. He'd better win. Darren in Utah says there is so much player movement in the CFL, it's hard to establish a superstar. Curious if this affects NCAA football similarly due to the transfer portal. Dude, the NFL's no different. That's, I guess, me defending the CFL, if you will. But what did we talk about earlier? Russell Wilson, where's he going to play this year? It's not going to be Pittsburgh, so he's going to be on three teams in 3 years. Russell Wilson. Aaron Rodgers will be on his third team in 4 years. Aaron Rodgers. It's every league. And what I can tell you is for those of us that have been in sports for a long time, we're kind of glad that we were in it when we were in it. Like, for instance, Tim Peel was happy he reffed when there was no video replay. I'm happy I quit drinking when there was no cameras on phones or video camera. You know what I mean? Like, it's all. Tony in Cochrane, Alberta writes, and he says, NIL has changed March Madness and not for the good, as discussed earlier. No Cinderella this year and probably ever again. It's going to ruin football and other collegiate sports as well, sadly. Thank you for noticing, Tony. I drew that comparison or that assumption or whatever you want to call it earlier. Because the best teams have loaded up. They've paid the most for the best players. There's no surprises. Yeah, it ruins it, and I guess we'll have to just get used to it. Dime Drawer writes, and he says, what do you think of Blue Jays lefty? Thank you. I should read these first. Shouldn't I, Clark? Thank you. Rich in Edmonton, guys like Brian Kelly and Dan Kepley were pillars in the community. Edmonton Elks don't have that anymore. Oh, bro. Your lips to my lips. We'll talk about this and a lot of other things, and Brian Munz joining us next hour, too. We'll be right back after this brief pause.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
So what was it like coaching the Panthers in the 90s at the old Miami Arena? And he said it was in a bad end of town, and the police told him, when you come to a red light around the arena, don't stop. Keep rolling through because they'll come and steal your car. And he was driving an 86 Toyota Corolla. So he said he came up to a red light, and he didn't stop. He rolled through the red intersection, and some local yelled at him, "Don't worry, we wouldn't steal that piece of garbage."
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
It's Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show. We're coming at you live on the Game Plus television network. We got a lot to get to here in hour 2. We also air in 32 U.S. states. Let's bring in the Moose. He's in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, the home of the Blue Jays. And Darren, we're going to get into a topic that both you and I love. I hope the viewers do too. I kind of think they do. We're going to find out because you and I are going to talk about it anyways. And you don't even know what it is, but you can handle it because you're very good. Very quick on your feet. All right. Coming up in the next segment, Brian Munz, longtime Winnipeg Jets broadcaster, to talk about a team that many feel is the best team in the NHL, the Winnipeg Jets, but the team that got upset by the Buffalo Sabres in their attempt to clinch a playoff spot. But just hang on. So, okay, you guys want to hit the quick six show horn? So for the latecomers, this is what we've been talking about. We recapped our weekend. I stroked off 2 bucket list items thanks to Brent from Wellington, Florida. My good friend took me to the PGA event in Palm Harbor, Florida, just outside Tampa, the Valspar Championship. Then we went to the Blue Jays game in Dunedin. And I met some guys at the golf course, friends of Brent, one from Omaha, Nebraska, one from Kansas City, Missouri. They're like, what do you talk about on this show, your show? I said, Canadian sports. And they're not into the NHL or the Blue Jays or any of what we talk about every day. But the NFL was our common ground. So we've been talking a bit about that. And maybe we should talk more NFL. God knows the NFL told me to. I just have a little bit of a problem doing what I'm told. We talked about NHL from the weekend. We're going to look at tonight's games and make our picks. March Madness, which is what I'd want to talk about, Darren. We're coming around on that. NFL, where will Russell Wilson go? Where will Aaron Rodgers go? They just can't get enough of talking about that. We haven't talked about the CFL Combine, although I have it written down. We'll see. Blue Jays wrapped up their spring training yesterday. As I said, they were there. We've talked quite a bit about how the Blue Jays going to do this year. Might as well talk about it now because everybody's in first place. And again, NHL tonight. Now, I don't know if you were watching, Darren, near the end of hour one. Oh, there is breaking news, by the way. The Western Hockey League officially announced they're expanding to Penticton, BC, and Chilliwack, BC. So I don't know who broke that story initially, but I want to give the person credit who did. I can't remember, but they sniffed out that story, they broke it, and here we are. Just talking about the lack of upsets in March Madness and how the money ruined it, and player migration in all leagues. So how this kind of all got going, but everything's tied into one. Ed Hervey saying there are no superstars in the CFL. Our viewer, and getting flamed for it, the general manager of the Edmonton Elks, but they're saying the players move around all the time, right? So they can't get attached to the community. What were you and I talking about this morning? People that are saying, whether it be a radio station, a television station, a sports team, you need to be out in the community. Not anymore. No, you don't. That's one thing. And number two, building a winning program in college sports. Pay the most money. It's pro now. That's what Lane Kiffin was saying a few years ago. Why don't we just say we're pro? A lot of people didn't really understand what he was saying, Darren. And furthermore, what the point that you and I like to talk about it, and I really actually think the viewers do too, how do you build a winner? Because Pittsburgh's Steelers are going to have a new quarterback this year. They've been in the playoffs forever, right? It's not about, I'm sure some teams still build. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They drafted Jalen Hurts. But you don't have to do it that way. So to get to the top of the mountain, who's doing it the best? Because it's not like it used to be. That's what I'm trying to get at here. And wherever that is, I don't know. But it's fascinating, isn't it?
Well, it's not how it used to be. And to be honest, who's building it the best and what's the best strategy? That's changing on a year-to-year basis, or at least, every 2, 3, 4 years with each cycle. The one thing that I think, this is just me hanging on to the past too, that I think is disappointing about NIL and transfer portals and so much movement is, what is a team logo and a location, and what does that mean anymore? It's just an identifier, right? Which is fine. It's the way the sports is. But it used to be that you'd go to different places and teams would have different identities based on the people who came from that place. Like, small town Saskatchewan, the farm kids, right? You'd go down to Texas, you'd get the work ethic of the Longhorns, and the kids from the area, they would play a different game than the kids from the West Coast who had the air raid and the West Coast offense, and they played different brands of football. Well, now you got Texas guys in Michigan and California guys in Michigan and Michigan guys in Florida and Florida guys in Washington, and none of it matters, right? But those locations used to have an identity based on where you were from and the values and the work ethic and the different things that came from being in that area. Not anymore, which, is just me yelling at the clouds and hanging on to the past, but I miss it.
And it has changed. So, and to a perfect embodiment of this concept has come from Brian in Hudson's Bay. He writes in on the Progressive Insurance text line, 902-518-3033. He says, good morning, guys. I am losing faith in the Yzerman plan. The team is way too soft to make the playoffs, let alone win if they ever got into the playoffs. Too many soft Europeans, not enough gritty Canadians. I have very low expectations going forward under this regime. Go Jays, I guess. LOL. Well, I kind of get a bang out of that for a lot of reasons. Number one, poor Detroit. Oh, my God. The team that's won 4 Stanley Cups the last 30 years. The most out of anybody. Poor Detroit. Did I say Tampa Bay? Poor Detroit. I was thinking Tampa Bay because of Yzerman. They've won 3 Stanley Cups, and how many was Yzerman responsible for? 2. But he's not wrong. I think recently the Red Wings lost 7 in a row. They were the hottest team after they fired Derek Lalonde, right? And then they lose 7 in a row under Todd McClellan. And the point is, if Steve Yzerman can figure it out, who the hell can? You know, I don't know. I don't pretend to be a GM, not on the show, not off the show, because that's a big job. Sure, everybody can sit here and I'll give you an example, by the way. I was thinking of this the other day. Somebody with my crew down here in Florida, they were like, Bill Zito's never lost a trade. And I said, well, when he traded Owen Tippett to Philadelphia for Claude Giroux 4 years ago when I first got here, that wasn't a real good trade. But then I'm thinking back going, wait a minute, Giroux's the one that didn't pan out. Wasn't Bill Zito's fault. You know what I mean? So how do you really know? Sorry. My mind went to Tampa Bay. I think I said poor Tampa Bay. I meant poor Detroit. They've won 4 Stanley Cups. But then you look at Ken Holland, you know, they're like, he won 3 of his Stanley Cups pre-salary cap and only 1 with the salary cap. I mean, what are you bitching about? What are you splitting hairs? I get just a real bang out of Detroit fans that are whining, is my point on all of that. Okay? But, you know, there's by the way, CFL, there's GMs there that are not in the league anymore, and I'm not going to name them because I know who they are. I don't want to make them look bad, but they couldn't figure out the new world. So they became dinosaurs. Some of the great ones that won a lot, they're out, gone. Whereas guys like Wally, and Wally's not one. Wally would win in any era, but you know what I'm saying. Some guys rolled with it, some guys could figure it out, and some guys can't. And I'm just sitting here going, who is figuring it out? The Kansas City Chiefs, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the Florida Panthers, the Toronto Argonauts, the LA Dodgers, which, again, that's right, the biggest check. But if you look at the teams that are winning, Darren, they're the ones that have figured it out. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, you got to play the cards you're dealt, live in the era that you're in, right, in the market that you're in. And I actually saw a football coach, an old football coach, NCAA, and actually he was sitting down with John Gruden. They were talking about football, and he says, so many guys want to crap on, we don't have the right player. We don't have the recruiting budget. We don't have the talent coming in. We don't have the scouts. We don't have this. We don't have the facility. You have what you have. You have the players that you have today, and your job is to coach them and get the best out of them with the resources you have. Period. And go and win. Many people want to talk about the what ifs instead of focusing on this is where we are now. And you got to play the game based on the game and the way it's played today. Forget about how it used to be. You know, you always say the past is good to visit, not to live there. Yeah, it's good to say, hey, like, it's good to miss that stuff and wish it was different. But if you're going to be in the game today, you got to play it the way the game is played today.
To win. And if you're not winning, I'm also not going to name names, but let's just sit back and go, how many times have we said, how does that guy keep his job? They haven't won forever yet because he's a great salesman. That's all I need to say. You got an owner that's a Nimrod, and you've pulled the wool over his eyes. That's how. And there's a lot of those. 1:11 Eastern, 11:11 Mountain. Visualize a positive outcome to your current quagmire. It'll come around. Trust me. Rob in Las Vegas writes in, he says, the days of the Cinderella upsets in March Madness are over. Players will naturally go to big-time programs that can offer the most NIL money. Exactly. BW in Edmonton says, with more money in college football, you will get more Hall of Famers in coaching. Colorado add Marshall Faulk as running backs coach, which, by the way, this is all getting off track, but that's okay. That's what we do here. You see how many ex-pros are coaching at the college level? More than ever. Warren Sapp, Michael Vick. You just said Marshall Faulk. I think they're good at it. I don't think Deion Sanders would hire a Rudy Poo. I don't. And when I talk to a coach and GM here in the States, about the player movement. I said, you kind of want continuity every year, but you're not getting it. Like Michigan went from the last place team in the Big Ten in basketball to winning their conference. Michigan Wolverines. Maybe you know that because that's your school. What happened? They only had 2 returning players. They're Michigan. They spent on 13 new players or whatever the hell it is. So you can do that. But I said to the coach, as a position coach, a coordinator, I would think you want the same players every year. He goes, well, that's not going to happen. So the onus is on coaching now. Quality coaching. It's not just a buddy of a buddy anymore. I wonder how many people actually know that. Because it hasn't always been that way.
Tough. Right. And you could put in a system and it would be, hey, rinse and repeat. The players know. But now you have to coach every spring camp, every fall camp, etc. You got to be ready to go because you got to teach them again from scratch. Right? I mean, new guys to the system. They got to learn it. And if you're going to have those big, robust playbooks with the crazy play calls, then you got to put in the work and you got to be a hell of a coach.
Bingo. And that's something that I wouldn't see. I'm not in the rooms. I'm not in the classrooms. I'm not in the locker room with what they're doing. I see it out on the field, which I was at a 7-on-7 tournament a couple Sundays ago, and there were busts all over the field. And I turned to the coaches, and I'm like, guys, what's going on? And they're like, ah, they're mad. Because the kids weren't picking up the play. It was very evident to me. I'm like, I don't know if the quarterback threw to the wrong spot or the receiver ran the wrong route, but something not working. But thank God it's March, and they've got till September to figure it out. That's how much work they put into it. So for what we were talking about earlier, why we're talking about it, years of bracket chaos have given way to the year of the Power Conference in March Madness. Cinderella is staying home this year. The Sweet 16 will be made up of entirely of teams from Power Conferences, a first ever since the bracket went to 64 teams in 1985. No Cinderella stories. This is not something they could have forecast when they started handing out millions in NIL money. This is an unfortunate byproduct of it. The best players are with the biggest schools because they have the most money to get the best players. It ain't rocket science. And even they couldn't see this coming. Okay, Darren, I did not add up our picks from Thursday night, but I will. So I don't know what our score is right now. There was 14 games that night, and I had a busy weekend. But there are 4 games. Did you? Okay, well, I could maybe add it up in the break here, but Vancouver at New Jersey. Both teams are on slides. Who do you like? Van at New Jersey.
Set. I'm going to take Vancouver.
Okay. I will take the New Jersey Devils. The Columbus Blue Jackets at the Islanders. Let me go first. I'll take the Jackets.
Okay. I'll take the Islanders.
Minnesota at Dallas. That's a gooder. Sneaky good game.
Yeah, I think Dallas for me.
I think I'll take the Stars. Yeah, that's 2 of us. And Detroit at Utah. Toilet Bowl.
I'll take Utah.
I think I'll take Utah. Both of us?
Yeah.
Okay. Jinx, you owe me a soda. Okay, Moose. Have a great afternoon.
All right, you too.
We'll be talking a lot of NHL with Winnipeg broadcaster Brian Munz right after this. We're live on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
Live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Winnipeggers rejoice. We're going to talk about you now and your hockey team. Last night, Ryan McLeod had a goal and 3 assists, and James Reimer made 33 saves to lead the Buffalo Sabres to a 5-3 victory over Western Conference leading Winnipeg. It denied the Jets a chance to clinch a playoff spot, but they will. I believe I have that right. Let's bring in Brian Munz now, longtime Winnipeg broadcaster, NHL, AHL, every league actually, and he is currently with Golf Manitoba. Munzie, happy Monday, brother. How are you?
I'm great, Roddy. How are you? Nice and warm, I would assume.
Good. It's beautiful. Great baseball watching weather. We had a fun day yesterday at TD Ballpark catching the Jays. What the hell happened with the Jets last night? Was that just overlooking the Sabres? What happened? What was your take on that game?
It was the James Reimer show. He was outstanding. I would say I don't obviously watch as many games as I did when I was calling hockey and had to be there every night, but I would argue that it was one of the top 3 goaltending performances I've seen all year long, and that would include the Four Nations Championship. May have been his last game. I don't know exactly kind of what his plans are, but for a guy from Morwena, Manitoba that has played a number of years now of professional hockey at age 37, that might have been one of the best games that he's ever played. And I stuck around actually after the game, Roddy, and you'll like this because of the days back to the Western Hockey League with the Winnipeg Ice. Zach Benson was in town with the Sabres, and really that's why I went to the game, to see Zach after. And James came up into the stands and probably had half the town of Morwena there to see him, and he was pretty excited to get that game in. So the Jets had a number of grade A chances. They played an okay game, but at the end of the night, James Reimer was better than Eric Comrie, and Buffalo was able to kind of squeak a win out there that I don't think many people expected. But I would expect the Jets to get right back at it here when Alex Ovechkin's in town tomorrow night.
Yeah, well, I saw the highlights, and I saw Reimer at the end of the game pump his fist, and I'm like, there's a competitor. It's nice to see that they care, even on the worst team, statistically, the worst team in the Eastern Conference. What is your take on the Jets? I've said many times on the show this year, I'm impressed with the way the fan base is dealing with it. They're not nitpicking. They're not finding anything to be negative about. They just seem to be enjoying the ride and loving their guys. I think that's all you can do.
Well, it is, and why wouldn't you? They've been one of the top 2 teams. I think Washington's just jumped them now for overall points. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have my computer in front of me. But, the Jets have pretty much been the number 1 team in the league the entire season, and that's got the city excited. I think Kevin Cheveldayoff made a couple of great ads at the trade deadline. Always good when you had a Sasky guy in there with Luke Schenn on the blue line, and obviously bringing Brandon Tanev back. And we saw it in the game yesterday. He had a great hit, then was able to get back 200 feet the other way and almost scored a goal late in one of the periods, which may have given them a little bit of life, but that was one of the stops that James was able to make in the game. So I like where this team is at right now. Knock on wood, they're pretty healthy, and obviously it's all going to depend on Connor Hellebuck when they get into it. But it's exciting. We're getting close here as the calendar counts down now. The games are into the 70s that they've played, so we're getting closer to 82 and really getting to that time when everybody wants to see, and that's playoff hockey and what they'll do here in this really tough, challenging Central Division.
Well, so here's a question. I wouldn't even ask you if you were broadcasting the games because I wouldn't want to put you on the spot. You wouldn't answer it. If I said, who's the best matchup for Winnipeg in round 1? I will now. Who's the best matchup for the Jets in round 1? Flames, Canucks, Blues, or even if Utah was part of it. I mean, you wouldn't want to answer that because you wouldn't want to give fuel, right? But now you can.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I guess you would probably say you'd want one of those teams in Vancouver or Calgary just based on the way the seasons have gone for them. Again, I haven't seen a lot of Canuck games. I don't stay up at 9:30 at night anymore to watch those West Coast games. So yeah. I can't give you a really big answer on what's going on in Vancouver. I've watched a little bit more Flames games, and obviously Dustin Wolf has been tremendous for them this year. So just based on past history with, the fight that is for that wild card spot right now, I think it's imperative that the Jets do finish in first place and move over to that Pacific Division for round 1, because probably, Rod, I guess the best way to answer it and not to answer your question, and you'll get a chuckle on this, is you just don't want to play Dallas or Colorado in the first round, right? You don't want to be in that 2-3 spot. You want to be in that number 1 to give your chance or give yourself the best chance going up against one of those wild card clubs in the opening round of the playoffs.
Allie in Texarkana writes in, she says, I hate playing the Wild. She's a Dallas fan. I think you'll hate playing Colorado more, as Munz just said, come playoff time. But, way back in the fall, I asked you what the Jets need, and you said that it was too early to even look at that. And I kind of wonder if they needed Luke Schenn or Brandon Tanev, but I saw Tanev's goal. Woo! Nice one. I mean, I guess better's better. How do you feel about the moves they made at the deadline?
Yeah, I like the additions they made. I think the familiarity with Brandon Tanev coming back, bringing that energy in the bottom 6, and he can kind of bump around a little bit. And I think it gives Scott Arniel the opportunity to move some pieces around. And we even saw it in the game yesterday afternoon here against Buffalo. They were trying to generate some things, and we started to swap some players in and out of a role that maybe they've been comfortable with over the last month or so. So I think that's a bonus. And Luke Schenn does add some size on the blue line. That's still the only thing for me that, and here we are kind of putting the cart before the horse here. But, if they can get by that first round of whoever it's going to be Dallas or Colorado in round 2. And just how does Winnipeg's defense handle the forecheck of both the size of the players here that the Avalanche and the Stars have on their roster in a 7-game series. It's different than the regular season, Rod, and you know this as well. You can kind of get through games here and there, but you get into a best-of-7 series when you get into 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The physicality kind of wears you down a little bit. So hopefully they can continue to do what they've done all season long. You know, the defensemen that have been there right now have them as the number one team in the Western Conference. So there's a lot of excitement in Winnipeg, but the size of this team is one thing that I do kind of keep an eye on here down the stretch.
Jeff, the Stamps fan in Calgary, wants to know, he says, will Ovi get the record this year? It's starting to look like he may not.
I think he'll get it. I really do. You know, you look at the games they have left, and hey, I'll be honest with you, that's one thing that I think everybody around Winnipeg was looking at here over the last couple of months, is when he got to kind of in that lower double-digit range, it was like, okay, this is kind of setting the stage for tomorrow night here inside Canada Life Centre. Like, wouldn't that be cool for him to do it in Canada? Connor Hellebuck probably wouldn't agree, because I remember I read an article this week, and I can't remember who it was. One of the goalies was talking about, yeah, you know, everybody's been watching this Ovechkin race, but you don't want to be the guy that he scores it on. Kind of like the Gretzky goal, right? Like that's all you see against the Vancouver Canucks now, with people are on the ice in that scenario against. But yeah, I think at some point here before we get to game 82 that Alex will get it this year. And it's kind of a neat story. Like, obviously, when the Jets came into the league, we were part of that Southeast division when Winnipeg moved in. So Jets fans saw a lot of Alex Ovechkin back in the day. It's hard to believe now that that's close to 15 years ago. But yeah, I think in a long-winded answer for you, Rod, I think he'll get it this year. And it's been fun to follow, because obviously I wouldn't have watched a lot of Washington Capital games this year, but I'll admit to you, in the last month or so here, I've kept a keen eye on what the Great Eight's been able to do.
Me too. And the thing is, he's 7 away, right? So if he doesn't do it this year, he's going to do it next year. It's not a if anymore, it's when. Okay, to what you and I really care about, and that's junior hockey. And news today, the Western Hockey League announced the awarding of an expansion franchise to the Penticton Vs for next season, along with the initiation of a franchise application process for the city of Chilliwack to begin play the season after. So the dub is expanding. Again, I don't know who broke this story initially, but kudos to them, because it ended up being true. We got a lot of junior hockey fans that watch this show throughout Western Canada. What did you think when you heard this news, which became official today?
Yeah, I think it's exciting. Obviously, I've spent a lot of time in Penticton. The Jets, well, the Vancouver Canucks obviously hosted that Young Stars tournament over the last decade or so now, maybe even more than that, in the fall time. So spent a lot of time in that building. It's a beautiful facility. It is a Western Hockey League rink. There's no question about it. The only thing that I look at, I guess, is just from a fan standpoint, is there enough people to go around? Because obviously the Kelowna Rockets had to give their blessing, and that's obviously gone through now. And we all know what Bruce Hamilton's been able to do with the Rockets there. It's such a fantastic place and a great opportunity to go watch junior hockey there. So now they've got an instant rivalry. And then, I don't know, Rod, did you call games when Chilliwack was in the league? But I know I was in there a little bit. And, you know, that's a great building too. And obviously you've got the Giants in that region that play out of Langley. So, you know, BC is getting, I don't want to say saturated, but there's a lot of hockey options for people to watch now in the Lower Mainland and the Okanagan. But if you've got, A, I guess, obviously the fan support, and then B, the corporate community, it's great to see. And, you know, I guess the next question is where else or who else could possibly be a home for some team down the road, or now is it definitely enough? And once we all figure out what's going on with this NCAA thing, how that kind of then trickles down to junior A hockey here. You and I grew up in the SJHL and obviously still watch a lot of Manitoba Junior League games here. And then, you know, as they go on to the college sports. So it's an interesting landscape for sure right now to see what's going on in the hockey world for sure.
It's been since October since the NCAA's landmark decision to make major junior players eligible, and now we're seeing the fallout from it, and it is just fun to watch. I wouldn't want to be participating in it. And you ask about Chilliwack, Munzy. I was beside myself when the Regina Pats were at the Chilliwack Bruins for the first time, and the Bruins came on the ice, and they didn't play What You're Gonna Do by Chilliwack. I'm like, how do you not play a song by Chilliwack in Chilliwack. But whatever.
I'll give you that.
And the Raiders, the Raiders clinching first winner-take-all game Saturday night over the Blades. I'm sure you were following that as closely as I was.
Yeah, kept an eye on it. Obviously, an exciting time of the year. You know, when you look at the rivalries and the matchups that are here right now, obviously for you and I that both are alumni in that broadcast booth on CKBI, it's cool to see what's going on there. And for them to wrap it up, it was interesting when I was back in Saskatchewan a couple times this year. The Raider-Blade rivalry really didn't get going until the second half. It was kind of strange the way the schedule worked out. And then obviously for them to go head-to-head on the final weekend and for Prince Albert to pull it out, it's fun bragging rights for everybody for sure in Hockeytown North.
Okay, and lastly, anything you would like to pass along from the Humboldt Broncos Memorial Golf Tourney? You got any announcements or anything?
Yeah, obviously we're excited for it. It's the 8th annual coming up. It'll be August 8th and 9th. We are looking for some hole sponsors this year. We've had a couple businesses, obviously, with the times that have elected to move on, and we appreciate what everybody's been able to do for us since day one. But if you'd like to get involved, go to our social media and let us know, and we'd love to have you be a part of this year's event coming up in August.
Munz, a fantastic update. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for jumping on. Enjoy the hockey. Hopefully we can do it in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
All right, Roddy, take care. Stay warm down there, eh?
I plan on it. We got no choice. Stay cool is probably the more appropriate. Brian Munz, or as John Lynch would call him, Brian Biggie Munz. Oh, what do we got here? Mark, watching in PA, says that Raiders versus Blades game on Saturday was electric. The Hauser was rocking. Hey, there's only a certain amount of us that actually knew Chess Leach. I was thinking of the Chess Leach room the other day. I knew Chess up in PA. Great times. Okay. You guys all picked up what I put down. Jeff the Stamps fan with regards to Chilliwack and them not playing any songs by Chilliwack. When I say I was beside myself, that's an understatement. I wanted an answer. Regina Pats were in Chilliwack playing the Bruins, and when the Bruins came on the ice, I was all ready. We either gone so long or what you going to do. It's got to be one of the two. It was neither. What are we doing here? Jeff the Stamps fan says, how do you not play a song from Toronto in Toronto? It's not the same. I get the sarcasm. It's not the same. Rich in Edmonton says, you need to play Sweet City Woman when the Stampeders come out. Yes, because it was played by the Stampeders. Did you know I used to be a country music DJ? And I used to play that song. I didn't want to, but it was on the list. Allie in Texarkana writes in. She says that was a nice Medano jersey hanging in the background. Munzie and Mike Medano, or as they say in the USA, Madano, which in retrospect I think is the proper pronunciation of it, Madano. We always said Medano. Munzie and he are great friends. PA connection. And Munzie actually got me. If Munzie was still on, I'd ask him, but I see we're late for a break here. But it was some commemorative Dallas Stars program. I remember what the hell it was. That was signed by Mike Medano. It's in Canada with my things. I haven't seen it for a while. We'll be right back with a sports update and audience takeover in a moment. We're live here on the Game Plus Television Network, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, sports fans, join the Rod Squad newsletter today. Stay ahead of the game with exclusive insights, updates, contests, and exclusive content delivered right to your inbox. Best of all, it's free. Sign up today at rodpedersen.com. The numbers are really growing. Our business manager, Joe, tells me we're at a very nice amount. Newsletter drops every Sunday afternoon. It's the only place you can get my 10 weekend things column. And it's interesting. It's you and me for, well, when we came out of the commercial, 20 minutes. Now it's 19 minutes, just you and me. And it's interesting for our longtime Sask viewers and audience. I did that radio show there, The Sports Cage, which I did come up with a name with. I stole it from a sports bar chain in Montreal. Cajo Sport. I used to think that'd be a great name for a talk show. The Sports Cage. And then we launched it May 17th, 2010. And then I was torpedoed January 16th, 2018. So 8 years on that show, 2019. And 6 years on this one. Used to scare the hell out of me. 20 minutes? Oh, my God, I can't do that. Now it's nothing. With regards to the Madonna jersey, Allie says, well, if you ever need to purge things, you can purge it this way. I got some Stars stuff. It's quite interesting. My niece, Sydney, she's the hockey player. Just graduated Mercyhurst University in Pennsylvania. She's still a Stars fan because of her grandpa. I'm not. The second dad retired. Bye. It's worked out well here. How did this come up? BW in Edmonton says, how can the Saskatoon Berries not be sponsored by Beaver Buzz Energy Drink? The top-selling flavor is the Saskatoon Berry Energy Drink. How the hell do we know? I know that's a rhetorical question, BW, but, and not surprising, Saskatoon Berry is the number one selling flavor. We were driving through Tampa Bay on the weekend, Brent from Wellington, Florida, and I, and there was a farmer's market on. He goes, do you ever go to the farmer's market in West Palm? I said, no, but I went to the one in Regina every Saturday and bought gallons of Saskatoon berries, and I would eat those things like popcorn. Put them on ice cream, you name it. Saskatoon berries are my favorite berry. I love them all, but it's my favorite. So it doesn't surprise me that's the number one. That's my number one favorite. You guys are getting goofy in there. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says he had KFC this weekend. Bro, I could have it every day. Easily. But it doesn't agree with you. Rich in Edmonton says, just looked up the Saskatoon Berries. That's a really odd ballpark. Cairns Field? I don't think so, but a lot of people say that. I love the view of the river beyond the outfield wall. Look at me becoming a baseball guy. Clark, you were really on to something, being a baseball guy.
How about that?
Allie, and I love that we're having this back and forth, which I'll tell you something, by the way. Allie goes, I still think I might convert back one day, Rod. To what? What's she referring to? My mind's pinballing all these places. But one thing I've realized, this dawned on me while driving around with Brent from Wellington, Florida. That's the guy I went fishing with right there. He was telling me how last week he was with his son, RJ, the football star, and how he's like, watch this, Arj. Texted me, and I read his text on the air. It came up on the screen. It's hard to blow kids' minds these days. It's very hard to blow kids' minds these days. But the RP show can do it because of the interaction. I remember going to my nephew's football game. He'd have been 10 or 11. Leibel Field. I swear to God, they had music and a DJ and cheerleaders and smoke, fireworks for a Saturday afternoon regular season flag. I mean, actually, it was RMF tackle. But I'm like, what the hell? This is Adam football. Yep. Very hard to blow their minds these days. But we can do it with the RP show. Oh, by the way, I can't get into too much back and forth, but they call it the Berry Patch. Just so you know, that ballpark in Saskatoon. I will be there this summer. I'm very much looking forward to it. I bit Brian in Hudson Bay's ass earlier because he's whining about the Red Wings and Steve Yzerman. And I said, what are you crying about? You got 4 Stanley Cups in the last 30 years, more than any other team. He says, well, excuse me, Rod, because they win 4 championships in the last 30 years. I guess we fans should never want another good team in our lifetime. It's getting close to 20 years now since that's happened, and they have been real bad for the last 10. It's all good. I'm just saying, you want to bitch about your team, get in line. Jeremy in Calgary writes in and says, oh, his nickname's Huck. He says, Huck in Calgary here. Hey, buddy. Man, oh, man, is Dustin Wolf and Dan Vladar the best 1-2 goalie combo in the league or what? Wolf has to win the Calder. Flames would be in the basement without him, don't you think? Well, of course, because they can't score. But I just looked up the numbers. You know, they track these things, Huck. So whomever wins what's the goalie for best goals against, Clark? Do you remember? Last year, it was between the Jets and the Panthers. I think the Panthers won it. You'd think being a goalie guy would be able to remember. But I'm looking at this. Dustin Wolf is 17th in the league, .911 save percentage, 2.63 GAA, 17th. Dan Vladar is 50th, 5-0. Meanwhile, Sergei Bobrovsky He is 5th goals against average. 2nd in shutouts. He's got 5. Hellebuck's got 6. Vazzy's got 5. Who's the best Russian goalie of all time? That popped into my head this morning.
How about that?
What if Trechak played here? Is it Vasilevsky? Is it Bob? Okay, Clark just said poll question for tomorrow. Because if you look at the all-time top 10 wins, Bob is the only Russian in there in the top 10, and the only other non-Canadian is Henrik Lundqvist. What the hell is the goal? Somebody will write in and tell me. I'm just having a brain fart. We better take a break. Yeah, the Jennings. Jeff the Stamps fan, of all people, got the answer right. Jeff the Stamps fan, everybody, of all people. The football guy. It's the Jennings Trophy. The William M. Jennings Trophy. You got an assist on that one. No, you got an assist. Whatever, we did it together. We'll be right back with a sports update and overtime right after this here on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Okay, very proudly repping Blue Jays gear today and thanking again Brent from Wellington, Florida for making a couple of my dreams come true on the weekend. They're bucket list items. They were lower down on the bucket list, but going to a PGA event, we did it at Valspar Championship over by Tampa, and then the Blue Jays and the Pirates to wrap up the spring training. We'll be talking baseball and Blue Jays till as long as the Jays are in it. Moose gives them to the end of May. I've said mid-June. We'll see. We'll see. You got to love the optimism of this time of year, though, don't you? By the way, if you're looking for your perfect place to perfect your shot, Overtime Hockey Lanes always has something fun going on down there, 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. I'll say this about our sponsors. They've been with us for a long time, and I'll tell you why. It works. It's a great partnership. Head on down to Overtime Hockey Lanes, just a snapshot away from the old Crossroads Flea Market, and tell them the RP Show sent you, please. From the audience, Darren writes in, he is in Melfort, where they do the Melfort Shuffle. He says, how many stayed up for Team Canada curling early Sunday morning? That team is A1 good. Not me. There was just too much going on. However, I was up when the game ended, if that means anything. Wasn't on the TV in our Airbnb. Regarding Ed Hervey's comment, I don't know of any superstars in the CFL. Oh, my God. Endless fodder there. We should be thanking Ed for the content. Darcy in Grand Prairie, Alberta, writes in, he says, I seen a quote from Ocho Cinco where he said there was barely any difference in talent. CFL has a marketing problem, not a talent problem. Just don't like the negativity. BW checking in from, where the heck are you, BW? BW from Edmonton. He says, made it to Williston, childhood home of legendary Phil Jackson. Have a great day, you people. Ding. Taylor in Calgary writes in and says, just got back from Newark. Had a blast watching the Flames beat the Rangers at MSG. Go Flames, go. 3 straight comeback victories for the Flames, their most since December of 2019. Yeah, I got to stop. I could just stay in this sloppy mud puddle of comments all day. Sports update. There are 4 games in the NHL tonight. Sports headlines for Heavy Jim. In New Jersey, the Devils host the playoff-seeking Vancouver Canucks. The Canucks are 5 points behind the surging St. Louis Blues, who have won 6 in a row and hold the second wildcard berth in the Western Conference. I feel like when I asked Brian Munz earlier, the former Jets broadcaster, who would be a better fit in round 1 for Winnipeg, I don't think he answered it. Slicker than me. Gabriel Santerre had a goal and 2 assists to lead the Bishops Gators to a 3-0 victory over the host Waterloo Warriors in Sunday's gold medal final of the U Sports Women's Hockey Championship at Woolwich Memorial Center. Netminder Erica Gagnon made 27 saves to record the shutout. Any relation to you, Eric Gagnon, in the Game Plus newsroom, control room? Meanwhile, the 8th. Did you know Gagnon? No, Gagne is French for win, right? Meanwhile, the 8th-seeded Ottawa Gee-Gees upset the 3rd-seeded Concordia Stingers 3-2 to capture their first U Sports Men's Cup. There are 8 games in the NBA tonight, including one in Washington, where the Wizards aim to snap a 4-game slide when they host the Toronto Raptors, who have lost their 4th in a row, including a 123-89 defeat to the Spurs Sunday. The Toronto Blue Jays wrapped up their spring training schedule Sunday in Dunedin with a 2-1 win over the Pittsburgh Pirates. Vladdy 0 for 2, batting second as the DH. Jays host the Baltimore Orioles at the Rogers Center Thursday in the regular season home opener. Sports headlines are for Heavy Gym. Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. That's what we do. Got my workout in today. I was saying to Moose, it was an awesome weekend, but it was a really busy weekend. It was around a lot of people. What did I say? 12 to 15,000 people at the Valspar Championship, roaming the golf course. And then Sunday, 8,500 at TBD Ballpark. I'm okay to just chill for the rest of the day. Hey, Max. Thank you, Max, in Toronto, watching on Game Plus TV, says the William M. Jennings Trophy. Yes. I don't think statistically the Flames goalies will win it. Would have to look it up. But maybe there's a chance. As you know, there's usually one really good goalie and then a backup just tag it along. The guys that win those. It's not usually 50-50 or even 60-40. Rene Gagnon. Rene says, no, we are not related. And yes, Gagne is for win. I Googled in the back of a Uber in Orlando yesterday. I have never been here before. How do you say that in Espanol, senor? I've been to Orlando before, but not the Brightline station. Laverne in Swift Current. Hey, Laverne. Where's Squiggy? Laverne says on the Progressive Insurance text line, it's victory for Canada over the USA in soccer's CONCACAF Nation Cup third-place match. They win 2-1. Oh, my God. Now I can sleep this afternoon. Clark has pointed out Winnipeg will win the William M. Jennings Trophy. Oh, my God, did we accomplish a ton today. Thank you, Allie. It was tremendous. We'll see you all tomorrow.